Today I'm going to talk to you about the pace clock, how to use it, benefits of the pace clock. And what you see before you here on the screen is a familiar looking pace clock. You'll see these at the pool. Some of our pools they're easy to see, other pools they're not as visible. And sometimes the Kilbirnie squad will use more often they'll use the digital clock, but the principles are the same. But I will explain it as it pertains to this clock first. So the clock is your friend, that you use it to maintain your intervals correctly as per the description that I might give you on the board. For example, I might say 5 times 200ths descend on the 430, negative split 5, leaving on the top. Now that's a whole language that a lot of people will say, what does that mean? Let me go through and help you out with this. The top. On a traditional analog clock face, the beginning, where the number is 12, seen as either a 0 or a 60 on the digital clock, stated as leaving on the top or on the 60 on this clock here. And you can see that, I've just done a little circle there. That's the top there. The bottom, again, on an analog clock face, the bottom is actually the middle of a minute, where the number is 6, which is the 30 on a digital clock, stated as leaving on the bottom or on the 30. Right, so there we are at the bottom there. There's the bottom of the clock for 30. And of course you've got the sides as well. Bearing in mind each one of these little markers here, following my little lines, each one of these markers here represents a second. So that's 5 seconds, 10, 15, and all the way around the clock is a total of 60 seconds. 5 or 10 seconds apart, when I'm telling people to stay 5 seconds apart, wait after one swimmer leaves the wall before you leave. Watch the clock for your cue to push off. So it'll click round. First person will leave on 60 on the top. When I say on the top, then the next person will wait, and when it hits 4 seconds, they'll bob under the water, and by 5 they would have pushed off. And you can leave later if there's less people in the lane, or I determine I want bigger gaps. The repetition, the number in this example we're talking about 5 200ths. 5 is the repetition you'll be swimming, and 200 meters 5 times on an interval. So the interval is the repetition of a constant given amount of time, indicating when you should leave the wall. It's stated as an amount of time such as on the 430. This is the amount of time you have to both swim or leaving for the next repetition in the set. In the 5 times 200ths on 430 example, you'll leave on the top, swim 200 meters, then rest for the remainder of the time left in that 4 minutes and 30 seconds, at which time you will push off and swim the next repetition. If you miss your interval, that means it took you longer than 430 to swim the 200. Times, I'll give you a rest interval, and this is a bit easier to understand because it's a set time. So if your rest interval is 30 seconds, then you've got 30 seconds rest after you've done the repetition, no matter how slow or fast you swam it. Some coaches don't use it. I don't use it very often because it does encourage, it doesn't encourage people to increase their effort to make the time on the clock. But it does have benefits in other ways. So sometimes I'll set people a rest interval, which is a set rest. Otherwise, it's usually intervals where you have to complete the interval in a certain time. You have to complete the repetition, within a certain time before starting the next one. The time, the actual number in minutes and or seconds it took you to swim the repetition in the 5 by 200 example on pool, if you swim one of the 200ths, the reps that is, in, for example, 3 minutes and 57 seconds, that is your time for the rep. That means you would have 33 seconds left in the interval before pushing off for the next rep. And in this example, you'd leave on the bottom of the clock for that rep, because what will happen if you follow my cursor here, you'd start your 200 meters on the 60 there, and say you're laying 1 per 30 seconds per length. you would go all the way around the clock, and that would probably be about 2 lengths. And you've got to do 8 lengths in a 25 metre pool to complete 200 metres. So you would go all the way around again. And, whoops, ignore that line. You'd go all around a second time, and that would be 4 reps. That's 100 metres, and then you would do that another 2 times around, and that would be 8 lengths for you roughly. Say you came in at the 55, you'd know that that was about 3 minutes 55, because you know that you're around an average of 30 seconds or just under or just over. Maybe you came in on the 5, so then you know that was 4:05, which means you've got another 25 seconds following the cursor all the way around before you leave for the next rep. That's your rest period there, from the 5 through to the 30. And then you start again, and around you go. Over time, quickly, what you're averaging per length, and you can extrapolate that per 2 lengths, per 100, and so on beyond that. But really, it's, for me, if you can know what your 100 speeds are on average when going slow, when going fast, when going steady, then you'll start to be able to work that pace clock and understand the times you're doing, and that'll force you to increase your pace to try and get that needle further and further underneath the time that you know. Your swimming speed based on a time achieved for a given distance most commonly is expressed per 100 metres, as I've just said. So for example, if you're doing a 152 for 100 and you're going to swim 200, your pace would be expressed in approximately the amount of time it takes you to swim 100 metres. If you swim at 152, 1 minute 52 seconds, your time for the 200 would be 3:44. If you're building through a rep, then accelerating or getting faster within the rep. So if you're going to build a 200, and you would try to start out at a slower or medium pace and increase it each length of the pool so that you're swimming fast by the end of the rep. Alright, now the opposite of building is descending, and we've had descendings lately, and we have them quite a lot, and it can be confusing. But what we're saying when we're talking about descending, a faster finishing time on subsequent reps. So if you descend a set of 5 200s, your times might be 4:02 for the first 200, 4 minutes for the next one, 3:59 for the next, 3:57 for the next, and 3:55 for the last one. That's a descending set where the times are getting quicker for that 200 metres. A negative split, another type of set that we do, and sometimes I ask people to negative split just within a set, require them to do that, is where the second half of the repetition is swum faster than the first half. So in a single rep, just one of those 200s, for example, a negative split would be swimming the first 100, say, in 2:02, and then the second 100 bringing that home in 1:58 for a total of 4 minutes. And then you would leave on the 4:30. So hopefully this has helped you. I know some people are audio, but if we just use this example here to finish up for you, say I'll just list, I'll do these, a set of 12 25s, for example. Say we've got 5 people in a lane. We've got Abby, for example. I'll just write these in, bear with me. We'll have Abby and then Ben, and Dave and Edith. Put those in. Put them in there. And up in the right hand corner, if those are the people of the lane, sorry guys, a few issues there. Right, if those are the people in the lane and they're doing 12 25s, we're doing them on 30. So Abby would leave, she's the first away, she would leave on, get rid of that thing there, Abby would leave on the 60. Ben would leave on the 5 seconds behind. Corey would leave on the 10. Dave would leave on the 15, and Edith would leave on the 20. So those are the leaving times. Now Abby, they've all got 30 seconds to complete these, each 25 metres. So Abby starts on the 60 and it takes her 20 seconds, so she comes in on the 20. She has 10 more seconds to 30 before she has to leave. 30's just out of sight down the bottom there. Now Ben, he left on 5 seconds behind Abby to give her a gap so that he was swimming in his own zone. And he also did 20, so he came in on the 25 because 5 plus 20 is 25. And therefore he would leave on the 35 because that's 30 seconds after he started. It would go on for Corey and Dave, and so you would have a scenario like this where Abby leaves on the 30 for the next rep, for the second one. Ben would now leave on the 35. Corey is now going to leave on the 40. Regardless of the times they do, Dave is going to leave on the 45. Now Dave took 25 seconds to finish, so he only got 5 seconds rest. And Edith took 28 seconds, only got 2 seconds. But she left on the 50 because she left on the 20. Then she came in on the 50, she came in on the 48, 2 seconds before the 50. Then she had to start again. And so that's how it works all the way around. So it also helps you counting. Abby, being the leader, has to remember how many she's done. Has she done 9, 10, 11 or 12? She will know that she started on the 60. She's starting 5 seconds later each time. So she can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, following the cursor, 10, 11 and 12. 12, so she's on the 30 for the last one. So that's how she can count where she's up to in terms of going around the clock. Hopefully this has helped. If I've confused you, I'm sorry. You can go on the net and find plenty of information to read. There's no shortcuts. The real way to do it is to get out there, start using the clock, and you get your maths brain engaged, and soon enough you will come to terms with it. It will increase your pace, sharpen your times, and give you a real purpose to the set. Thanks very much.